Hi there! In this video, we are going to see how to plan a pronunciation lesson. First, we start with a review of principles and techniques in teaching pronunciation. Then, we will analyze the second part of the sample lesson plan designed to teach a language section of the new textbook tiếng Anh Việt. For the lesson plan, let's go to the reading. In the previous video, we have looked at vocabulary part. Now, it's the pronunciation part. You will have a chance to understand how pronunciation is taught in the new textbook, and then we are going to discuss the activities and the adaptations made in the lesson plan. Now, let's begin with the theory review. First, let's see what teaching pronunciation involves. Teacher needs to instruct students how to produce 44 sounds of English, including 20 vowels and 24 consonants. This is to ensure that students can produce individual words in an intelligible way. Besides, other factors are also important. At word level, word stress and word form of the sounds. At sentence level, teachers should draw students' attention to sentence stress, rhythm, linking, and intonation. In teaching pronunciation, listen and repeat is the activity which is commonly used. However, it is never enough for students to communicate well if they only learn pronunciation by listening and repeating. Instead, learners should practice sounds in various ways. Below is the communicative framework to teach pronunciation. The first step, description and analysis. Teacher presents a feature showing when and how it occurs. Teacher instructs students clearly what speech organs are involved and the position of those in producing a certain sound. Step 2. Listening discrimination. The focus is on learners' attention to a feature which they might not be recognizing yet. For example, teacher may distinguish how two sounds in the target language are different, like s and sh in English, or how a sound in the target language is different from its similar sound in students' mother tongue. For example, the t sound in English and the sound in Vietnamese. Step 3. Controlled practice. The learner's attention should be focused almost completely on form. At this stage, there should be a lot of drilling so that students produce the separate sounds correctly. Step 4. Guided practice. The learners now begin to focus on meaning, grammar, and communicative content, as well as pronunciation. Step 5. Communicative practice. In this stage, activities like role plays, debates, interviews, or simulation, drama scenes. These activities give a balance between form and meaning. As the activities become gradually more communicative, the learner's attention should still be focused on one or two features at a time. There are some techniques and activities in teaching pronunciation. The first one, drilling. It simply involves teachers saying a word or structure and getting the class to repeat it. Some types of drilling are choral drilling, with the whole class listen and repeat. Chaining can be used for sentences which prove difficult for students to pronounce, either because they are long or because they include difficult words or sounds. Open pair drilling is the activity where question and answer might be set up across the class, with one student asking and another answering. For example, a student may ask, "Have you ever been to Paris?" Another student answers with, "Yes, I have," or "No, I haven't." Substitution drilling is another important and useful variation. It involves drilling a structure, but substituting items of vocabulary into the sentence. Let's take an example. To practice pronunciation, it is like, "It's in the corner," "It's on the table." The next useful activities are those with minimal pairs. Minimal pairs are those pairs of words which differ in only one sound. For example, two words, cat and cut. The activities with minimal pairs can be very useful in the second step of teaching pronunciation, when teachers distinguish the sounds. The first activity can be identifying. In this activity, students decide which words have a particular sound. Or students are given a succession of words and decide on which words carry the target sounds. Like in this example, the sound A is the target one. Likewise, students might be given a list of words, and teacher asks students to listen and choose the words containing different sounds in the odd one out activity. In this example, the target sound is R and the odd one out is the word flown. Next, using tongue twisters to practice pronunciation is also a good idea. Those tongue twisters are easily found on the internet. Depending on the sound that teacher wants students to practice, the tongue twisters could be she sells seashells on a seashore to practice the two sounds and sh. Or not these things here but those things there to practice the sound. Or I swim, you swim, we all swim for ice cream. Sound interesting, isn't it? The next activity is using rhyme, chants, and poetry in teaching pronunciation. It is to help students recognize patterns of stressed and unstressed syllables, and also have an idea of stress and intonation. One popular source is Graham's jazz chants. In her materials, which can be found in her books or her posts on the internet, you can find various chants that focus on different sounds or features of target language. So let's give it a try. Okay, so we have just reviewed some key principles and techniques in teaching pronunciation. Now, let's continue by looking at the pronunciation part. In this lesson, students practice two sounds, sh and j. There are three activities. They are Exercise 5, listen and repeat the words containing the target sound. Activity 6, listen and categorize the words according to the sound it contains. And Activity 7, listen to the sentences and underline the words with the target sounds. As you can see, all the exercises require students to do two things: imitating the sounds and recognizing the sounds. It lacks two important stages in teaching pronunciation. In the first stage, before asking students to repeat any sound, teacher's role is to teach them how to produce the target sound first. addition, there should be also a freer practice activity at the end of the lesson to help students produce the sounds in real-life context. Therefore, in lesson planning, teachers should consider how to instruct students to produce the sounds correctly. Teacher can make this clear by instructing students steps by steps like this. Make a sound first, as in soon, then slightly round your lips. Slowly slide your tongue backwards in your mouth, just a little, and make the sound sh. And if it is possible, show them the mouth to illustrate. By this way, teacher can show students what speech organs involved in producing the sound and also their position. The illustration is available in the book Pronunciation in Use. After that, teacher can model and students imitate. Besides, it is essential that in teaching pronunciation, teacher helps students to distinguish some similar sounds that students may get confused. In this case, two sounds s and sh should be clearly taken care of. To do this, teacher may make use of minimal pairs, taking some pairs like she and she, sip and chip. Also, two sounds sh and sh should also give examples to clarify their difference in voicing. With j sound, the vocal cords vibrate to make voice sound, and with sh, the vocal cords do not vibrate to produce voiceless sound. After instructing students how to produce the sounds and distinguish some similar sounds, teacher lets students do the practice exercises in the book. The next adaptation is for a strong class when there is some time left. Teacher may teach students the rules of some sounds represented by spelling, as in this box. For example, sh sound can be represented by sh in she or wash, by ch in machine, by s in sugar or sure, etc. The next thing teacher might do is letting students practice with some words learned in the previous lesson. For example, occasion, contribution, special, ship, eggshells, depression. As a homework task, teacher may ask students to make a full sentence with each of the above words. It is noticeable that at the end of the pronunciation lesson, there should be a less controlled speaking activity like interview or idea sharing or role playing for students to use the sounds they learned in meaningful contexts. However, due to the limitation of time, which is only 45 minutes for both vocabulary and pronunciation, as in the new textbooks, teachers should carefully consider how many and when to add communicative activities in the lesson. For practical reason, teacher is advised to include one speaking activity in this vocabulary and pronunciation period. It can be either after vocabulary or pronunciation part. So, we have just discussed some key principles and techniques in teaching pronunciation. The features of pronunciation teaching in the new textbook, and a way to teach this part in the sample lesson plan. I hope that you can do well in planning and teaching pronunciation. Goodbye.